All right, ladies and gentlemen, we are on to subtracting a fraction from a mixed number. The biggest thing you need to remember is that you have to break down that mixed number in order to subtract. So that's what our focus is today. If you look at this sentence, 3 oranges, 2 apples, minus 1 apple, what would my answer be? Well, I cannot subtract oranges and apples. So this is like my whole number in my mixed number. I can't subtract these two, but I can subtract these two. They're kind of like my fractions. So 3 oranges minus no oranges is still 3 oranges. And then 2 apples minus 1 apple is 1 apple. Common denominators, common things that we're subtracting. Go ahead and let's look at this in unit form. 3 ones, 2 fifths, minus 1 fifth. Go ahead and write that. You can put it in fraction form if you need to, and you can break it down if you need to, or you can just solve it. Pause while you do it. You should have come up with 3 ones and 1 fifth because there are no other ones. So 3 ones minus nothing is still 3 ones. They kind of go together. And then I can subtract 2 fifths minus 1 fifth. 2 minus 1 is 1. 1 fifth. All right. Now for some harder stuff. Go ahead and write 3 4 fifths minus 3 fifths. The question you want to ask yourself is my fraction already big enough so I can subtract from it? Or do I need to decompose? If I cover up that 3 and I say 4 fifths minus 3 fifths, yeah, I can do that. So, all right, I don't have to decompose my 3. So that tells me I have 3 wholes minus 0 wholes. So I still have 3 wholes, or 3 ones. 4 fifths minus 3 fifths, that's just 1 fifth. If you want to see this played out on a number line, it looks a little like this. I have 3 4 fifths, so I'm going to start at 3 and go to 4 because I know I'm subtracting. And we're working with a fraction of fifths. So I'm going to cut this into fifths the best I can. And I'm going to mark 3 4 fifths. Go ahead and pause while you do that. So if you did this, you had 3 4 fifths, and you're taking away 3 fifths. So 1, 2, 3, which is the same as 3 1 fifth. All right, let's look at another one. This time it's going to be a little more complicated. Let's imagine I have 4 1 fifth minus 2 fifths. Go ahead and write that down. And think about, do I have enough in my first fraction to subtract my other fraction? If you looked at it, you probably noticed that you don't. You cannot do 1 fifth minus 2 fifths. So I have to break down my 4 wholes. So if I break down my 4 wholes, how many fifths are in 4 wholes? How many fifths in 4 wholes? Well, if you need to do it this way, you can. 5 fifths equals 1, 10 fifths equals 2, 15 fifths equals 3, 20 fifths equals 4. So it's 20 fifths. Plus, I still had 1 fifth. And that equals 21 fifths. But I'm not done. I still have to subtract my 2 fifths. So minus 2 fifths. Can I do it now? Yeah. 21 minus 2, it's 19 fifths. Now what happens if they want you to put it into a mixed number? Well, how many wholes can I pull out of there? I know that 5, 10, 15, 20, oh, not 20. 5, 10, 15. That's 3 wholes. Or 15/5. Then what's left? Well, if I take 15 from 19, I get 4/5. So my answer would be 3 wholes and 4/5. That's one way we could work through it. Here's another way. Let's imagine we're at 4 and 1/5. We talk to ourselves and say, well, we want to take away 2/5. Well, let's go ahead and subtract 1/5 first. If I do 4 and 1/5 minus 1/5, that's just going to give me 4 total wholes. So I took away 1/5, but I want to take away 2/5. So if I take away another 5th, in my head I'm thinking, okay, 4 take away a 5th. Well, that's going to give me a whole of 3, because I had to take away. And how many 5ths would a whole be? So I took, more or less what I did is I took that 4 and I broke it into 3 and 5/5. 5/5 minus 1/5 is 4/5. So that's just one other way you could do it. Or you could do the number line. We know we're starting with 4 and 1/5 and we're going down, we're going backwards. So we're going to have our end point be 5, because 4 and 1/5 is greater than 4. But we know since we're subtracting, we're going to have to go down to 3. My middle one is 4. And I'm dealing with 5ths. So I would cut each one into 5ths. This would be 4 and 1/5. 4, 1/5, and subtract 2/5. 1/5, 2/5. Which if I count it up is 3 and 1/5, 2/5, 3/5, 4/5. I have just shown you 3 ways you could solve that problem. There are 2 more ways I'm going to show you how to subtract, and you can then choose what path to do. On your problem set, it's going to ask you to do it a certain way. Try a couple that way, and do the rest the way that works for you. So imagine I have this. Instead of breaking down my whole, I can actually break down what I'm subtracting. And I can break it into 2 parts. The first part I want to break it into, after I realize that I cannot subtract it from what was here originally, is I want to break it down into whatever this is. So I'm going to take away 3/5 from 4/5, which gives me 1/5. So now it's like saying 5 and 3/5 minus 3/5 minus another 1/5. You're hopefully doing this along with me. If I just look at this, 5 and 3/5 minus 3/5, well, these guys cancel each other out. So I just have a whole. And then I still have to subtract that 1/5. So 5 minus 1/5, I know my whole is going to go down, and I know that the other whole was made up of 5/5. That's really what it looked like. So my 4 went over here. 5/5 minus 1/5 is 4/5. That's your job now is to find a partner and then go ahead and work on your problem set. I decided not to show you the other method because it's kind of confusing, and if you can figure it out for yourself, go for it on part 3 of the problem set. If not, that's okay. Do it whatever way works for you. Good luck.